Do the promo, and by the time I'm done with the promo, it'll be my pick.
Your intro is only going to be a few seconds. I'll start talking when he's done with his promo.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Dirty Water News Fantasy Football Show. It is Friday, August 29th, and we are here with several of our Dirty Water News radio crew in the background, and we're going to be doing a live draft for you guys, so this should be really exciting. You can either commend us or totally make fun of us for all of our picks.
Not me.
Not Steve.
Not Steve,
Definitely
ever.
not Steve. Don't
Awesome.
make fun of Steve. He's very sensitive. So we are going to start our draft just about now. And Steve, why don't you tell us who our
Dun, 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 dun. Well,
Perfect.
who our draft is brought to us by.
The 2014 Dirty Water News Fantasy Football Draft is sponsored by the Yankee Clipper Barbershop, located on Marshfield-Pembroke line at 243 Church Street in Pembroke, Mass. From shaves to fades, sports and fantasy talk, the Yankee Clipper offers more than just your average cut. For an appointment, call the shop 781-826-8719 and ask for Jeff or Eric. Mention this ad and you receive $5 off your haircut. Nick, you need one. Walk-ins welcome. That's the Yankee Clipper Barbershop on the Marshfield-Pembroke line.
Do they do shavings like for ugly mustaches?
This is not ugly.
Perfect. So basically, we're going to go over the results round by round of our live draft here. Everybody's a part of it. Matt, Team Mass Nightly. We got the guys from the Shane and Mike show that are doing it with us. Stack and Smash. And our own producer who's walking by us right now and his intern, the owner, S.J. Torres. Everybody's doing it, so we're going to go through. It's a 12-team standard league here, and we're going to go over a few round by round, pick by pick, and basically just talk about how my team is so much better than everybody else's. I think
I'll start. I actually had the fifth pick right now, and the first four went as planned. It went Peterson, McCoy, Charles, Forte, and I was sitting there. I took Eddie Lacy. I like him better than Marshawn Lynch, obviously, so that's why I took that.
Nick is picking right now.
I am not getting my players up right now.
This is going to be the excuse for why he loses this year, apparently.
So basically, I am the guys. I have lost my guys here. This is not a good situation. It's ranked down. I have 1 second left, and I've auto-drafted Marshawn Lynch.
Congrats.
Excellent.
And you get, decent auto pick, but obviously you had someone else in your mind. You want to say who?
I just took Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, I mean, the Jimmy Graham pick was great. If you guys want to go ahead and talk, I'm going to try to redo this situation.
If you click the rank number, it brings him right back up to the top.
That's probably what I should have done. I just signed out by accident.
So while Nick is down on the draft, it's going to keep going. Caitlin took Jimmy Graham. Loved Jimmy Graham this year.
This is the second league that I've picked him first.
Do you have a crush on Jimmy Graham?
I mean, a small crush, but whatever.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Jimmy Graham.
You can't. I think he's going to be. I think he'll be a great time.
Perfect.
He's obviously going to get me a lot of points.
My guys are back up.
Thank God.
Not happy at all with their Marshawn Lynch pick, but I guess we'll just.
Who would you have chosen?
In the late first, probably you could go with DeMarco Murray. I'm a wide receiver guy, so maybe with the 8th pick, Demaryius Thomas, Calvin. I know Calvin went with the 7th pick, so definitely Jimmy Graham probably with the 8th pick. Fair enough. This is what happens. This is what happens when.
Snagged him right from under you.
Yeah, that's right.
Nick is completely flustered right now because he loves that wide receiver combo.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty upset right now.
You should be.
but
Nick is panicking.
Yeah, this is what happens. So basically, Steve, you have the 3rd pick, is it?
5th.
The 5th pick. Caitlin has the 7th, and I have the 8th,
I
or you
had
have the
I had the 9th.
you have the 9th, and I had the
Yep.
8th. So we're going to go through the picks round by round here. And the first round, the basic guys went. You're looking at Adrian Peterson, LaShawn McCoy, Jamal Charles, Forte, Lacey. Peyton Manning with the 6th overall pick by SJ was a little unique. Calvin, awful pick by me with Marshawn Lynch. Jimmy Graham, and the last three picks, Demaryius Thomas, Arian Foster with the 11th pick in the first. I thought he'd fall a little bit farther. Drew Brees with the 12th pick, and on the turnaround, our intern took Arian Foster. So,
I am going to draft Monte Ball right now.
Ooh, great pick. I actually love that. I am very high on Monte Ball this year. I actually like him as a late first rounder to me because I want to get a running back early, and I don't want to reach on those running backs that are going in the late. And I feel Monte Ball is a safer pick than, say, Arian Foster or Zach Stacy or Doug Martin.
Yep.
I had to save myself there with that Marshawn Lynch pick, so I took basically Tom Brady in the second round. No, I'm just kidding. That was awful. I took A.J. Green.
Nice.
So
That's a good pick.
my rankings work. So, I mean, A.J. Green and Marshawn Lynch, obviously. And, we talked about it last week, Steve, or 2 weeks ago, about how Marshawn Lynch, there's been no slowing him down. He's just been getting a ton of carries, and so there's been no slowing him down in terms of there's been no backup that's been jumping on top of him. And analysts have been talking about it for years, how Marshawn Lynch was going to be the guy. So
I'm extremely happy here in the my swing pick. Des Bryant fell to me, and I'm going to gladly take him off the board and pair up Eddie Lacy with Des Bryant right there.
Great 2 picks to start the draft.
Yep.
I would like to thank everybody in the league. I'd like to thank the War Room behind me for not taking Des Bryant.
Has already claimed victory.
Dave is apparently the bartender and the waiter,
the
restaurant guy for tonight. So, so basically, just to recap, the second round that's almost done. We're a couple picks away here. Are you picking? Is our intern picking for Dave because he's got 10 seconds left?
Dave was doing a pizza run. He's back at his computer.
Oh, Dave is actually physically in the
war room.
Okay. So our intern is running things right now, which is not a good situation.
Extremely exciting.
I have complete faith in you.
Me too.
So to recap the second round, as we got 2 picks left, Mike Grinnell is going to be on the turnaround. I assume he's going to get some good guys here. But to recap the last few picks, we basically opened up this 12-team league in the second round. Julio Jones, and then Doug Martin, Aaron Rodgers, mid-second. A little interesting. Monty Ball, I took A.J. Green, DeMarco Murray, Julius Thomas, Des Bryant. Steve took Brandon Marshall, Reggie Bush, and Alfred Morris. A little too early for Bush for me. What do you think?
Well, let's first say that this is a standard league. It's not a PPR league.
Yep.
So Bush there is definitely a big jump, personally, to me. PPR, maybe I don't mind it as much because he's going to get his receptions. But it's kind of unknown what's going to happen with that running game up in Detroit this year.
Yeah. Basically, my as we enter the third round here, my game plan here is to really pick up some running backs because I feel a little weak with Marshawn Lynch, not fully confident with that pick. So I'm going to try to get some running back depth here. It's just, to me, A.J. Green's a top 3 wide receiver, so it was too tough to pass up in that middle second round.
Definitely a good pick.
Caitlin, what is your theory here going forward, your game plan in terms of the guys you have right now? Are you looking at Monty Ball and Jimmy Graham?
I'm pretty happy with those 2 picks. Now I'm wondering if I should, it's probably a little too early to maybe go for a quarterback, but I'm wondering, I'm going to see who's available, and I'd like to get a wide receiver. So that's my ideal next, but we'll see kind of what happens.
And with 5th pick, I'm going to pair up Eddie Lacy with Giovanni Bernard.
Gio fell. I mean, these are some great picks.
Basically, I'm just kind of sitting back and letting the draft fall to me right now.
Steve, it would seem that he is the leader out of the 3 of us anyway. Something I saw that was a little interesting. Larry Fitzgerald in the early 3rd round. I was able to get him in my 10-team league. I think it was in the 6th round after I took a bunch of running backs, and we'll actually go over that in our next podcast in a few weeks or next week. So Larry Fitzgerald in the 2nd for a non-PPR. What'd you think about that?
Well, let's just break it down right here. I mean, we'll play a keep or sweep with you guys right now. Larry Fitzgerald or Antonio Brown?
I'm going to go Antonio Brown.
Caitlin?
I am
putting you on the
picking
seat right
next.
Here.
Yeah. Yep.
Larry Fitzgerald or Randall Cobb?
I'm going to go Cobb.
Larry Fitzgerald or Vincent Jackson? Pierre Garçon?
Yeah, I like all those guys more than
I
Larry
just took
Fitz.
Antonio Brown.
Hey,
There we
if Larry
go.
Fitz,
Thanks for the advice.
Who'd you just take?
Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown.
you're welcome. Hey.
Oh, so
Hey, good thing I was listening.
I was picking before Caitlin, and my guy fell, Andre Ellington. So I was able
That's
to
your
take.
guy.
To me, he's a stud guy. We've said on more than one occasion, off the record, we've been told that Andre Ellington, the Cardinals look at him like a Jam Chucky guy.
Yeah.
So
I
was excited.
I'm not sure if he has that skill set, but
he
if,
can.
If you're there and you hear 250 carries as a fantasy owner, how can you turn that down? He's just going to get a lot of action. That's what it sounds like.
He can catch passes out of the backfield. He can block on passing downs. So obviously run the ball in between the tackles. I like you're starting to see a little bit of a run on wide receivers here. After I took Ellington, Antonio Brown, Caitlin took, and then Randall Cobb, Pierre Garçon, two guys we were just talking about.
Le'Veon Bell goes across the board. What do you guys think there?
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell, our intern Jared took Le'Veon Bell, and his team's looking Drew Brees, Le'Veon Bell, and Julio Jones. He's got his turnaround pick right now. Great way to start the draft. You get a stud running back, stud wide receiver, and then he just took Ben Tate as his second running back on the turn to start the fourth round here. So in the third round, you were looking at, just to fast forward real quick, to start, I think it was Andre Johnson, Rob Gronkowski, Larry Fitzgerald, Jordy Nelson, Gio Bernard to Steve, Frank Gore, Zach Stacy. I took Andre Ellington. Caitlin took Antonio Brown, and then we went Cobb, Garçon, Le'Veon Bell. So Ben Tate and then Vincent Jackson opened up the fourth round. V. Jackson the fourth. Is that about where you think he's going to go in every round?
It is, I think. But to me, he's just too inconsistent to be, my wide
Very
receiver
feast or
one.
famine, yeah. Yeah, very feast or famine. That's an
We got
interesting.
Caitlin up now. Let's see where she goes.
Yeah, Keenan Allen just
I
went.
might be taking a bit of a risk here, but I'm going to draft Shane Vereen.
Very interesting in the
Over
fourth
Joy
round.
Bell.
A little early, but it
It's
was
a little early,
Hey,
but you know what?
That's a homer pick. I don't mind it.
yeah. And you know what?
PPR, I love it. I'm just not sure what Ridley's going to bring to the table.
I don't have a ton of faith in Stephen Ridley, so.
I'm actually. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I think Shane Vereen will be pretty interesting, and I think Brady will probably go to him a little bit more this year. I was debating between him and George Bell, but decided to take the home team.
Yeah,
for
no,
that one.
and
We'll see what happens.
her doing that allowed me to take another guy that I have in my Big Ten team league, the one I'm really excited about, Toby Gerhardt.
Yeah,
So another guy that's going to get a ton of carries. So I ended up rebounding quite well. Marshawn Lynch I took in the first by accident. Then I was able to get A.J. Green in the second, Ellington in the third, and then Toby Gerhardt. Again, Gerhardt, a guy that actually, Steve, you're sort of selling me on here the past few weeks.
I'm not selling it because we don't know what he can do with a full workload, but I'm selling people on the carries.
The fact he's
going
to get it. Yeah, right.
And, that's all you really that's what you want to draft for. You want to draft for 300 carries.
Yeah.
You don't want to draft for 150 carries and maybe 40 catches.
Right. It's just a likelihood he's going to get more work, which means more fantasy points. As Steve is up here, I'm going to go through. I'm just going to go through the SJs. He runs our publication. Go through his team real quick. Peyton Manning in the first, and then he went Julius Thomas, Frank Gore, Ray Rice. Ray Rice is suspended for 2 games, but when he comes back, he has that running back depth.
Absolutely.
So I think that for SJ, he's going to have to take some guys here. He's going to have to take some running backs to make up for Ray Rice being out. Steve, if you can just mute the computer real quick.
So with that one, I was kind of stuck in the pickle. I don't really like this round too much. But I didn't want to jump on a quarterback with Stafford out there, even though I think he's going to have a great year. Mm-hmm. So I paired Des Bryant up with Victor Cruz. Just think he's going to have a better season than he did last year and kind of go back to the Victor Cruz maybe 2 years ago.
Yep.
Let me ask you a few questions just real quick. Victor Cruz or Golden Tate?
Victor Cruz.
Cruz or Michael Floyd?
Victor Cruz.
Cruz or Crabtree?
That's a very tough one. I like Crabtree a lot this year because I like Kaepernick a lot and I like that offense. I just think Victor Cruz is maybe a needle in the haystack, you could say, in New York because he's the only guy.
Lastly, Cruz or Harvin?
Cruz just health-wise.
Yeah, I mean, guys you like, I think you missed out on an opportunity to take maybe a risk on a guy like Harvin or Crabtree, but I think that their upside is a lot higher than Cruz's. You've seen Eli Manning struggle all preseason long trying to move the ball, and I just think that's something that they're going to struggle with. I understand why you took Cruz. In PPR leagues, I actually think Cruz goes a little bit higher, but I think that just
a defense for Cruz real quick. They're switching over to that West Coast offense. So I think the quicker Eli Manning gets the ball out, I think that benefits Victor Cruz more.
right.
I am not sold on Eli Manning at all or New York's offense, you could say, but hey, we'll see.
And up right now we have Rob Coakley. his team name is Nick's the Worst. So Coakley Coakley just picked, and a good friend of the show, a good friend of mine, Stack and Smash Radio. They're on next around 8 o'clock, so you'll be able to see their show. Rob's team is actually pretty impressive per usual. He's actually a good drafter. Started off, he had the second pick overall. LaShawn McCoy, Alfred Morris, Torrey Smith, Cordero Patterson, Gronkowski. Obviously, he's high on Torrey Smith. I was able to get Torrey Smith in, I think it was around 9 or 10 in my 10-team league. You understand it's a 12-team league, so guys are going to move up a little bit, but I do think that a little shaky. I'm not a huge Morris guy. I'm not a huge Torrey Smith guy, even though I drafted him, but he took a chance on Patterson, and Patterson, if he works out, if he's able to get the fantasy points that a lot of analysts think he's going to get, he'll make up for Torrey Smith and maybe even Alfred Morris.
Good thing right here, like you mentioned earlier, I could have gotten Crabtree. I actually just took Crabtree right here on that swing back pick. So it ended up working out. I ended up getting him. It's not what I planned. I just saw a potential big season for Crabtree, like a lot of people are thinking he could be if he plays a full healthy season.
What do you think the likelihood is that Victor Cruz would have fallen to you in like, would you have rather had you need C.J. Spiller and Victor Cruz, or C.J. Spiller and Michael Crabtree?
I don't really want C.J. Spiller at all.
Take a chance on a guy like Ray Rice, or
looking back on it now, I kind of wish I took Cordell Patterson that round before.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted him on the swing pick, and someone jumped up and took him.
I took him in both of my leagues yesterday. I think he'll be interesting.
So basically, right now, I am up. Okay, did not know that, but fair enough. So, I have enough running backs, but I'm kind of looking at wide receivers. Maybe Harvin was taken. That was probably a guy I would have went for. I think I can get wide receiver in the next round. I'm going to go for a little bit more running back depth, and I'm going to take a chance in the 5th round on my guy Bishop Sankey.
There you go. You love that.
I'm literally drafting the same team in every league, but
I'm just not sold on this guy. He had 2 fumbles in his first 2 preseason games, and they're going to give the ball to the veteran, in my opinion, a guy who can hold on to the ball and help a young, bad team. Sankey definitely has that upside if he gets those carries. I'm just not sure he's earned them yet.
I suppose I could have waited till the turn. Maybe he would have fallen to me. But
it's your guy. It's your guy.
It's my guy. If I know how Rob Coakley drafts, I know he may be looking for a guy like that. In Jesse, the other host of the Stack and Smash show, we've drafted before. So you're not high on Sankey, like I'm not high on Victor Cruz. So I'm
not high on Victor Cruz either.
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, Sankey, you got Sean Green behind him, and although you saw him start in the first preseason game, I don't see them using. I don't think Green is a 20-carry guy. I think Sankey's a young guy who's learning the system. He can pick up blitzes. He can catch passes out of the backfield very well. And he had a nice catch in the first preseason game, wide open catch down the sideline. So I think, for me, running back, for the rest of the draft, I really only need maybe one more guy to fill in for bye weeks. So I'm going to go probably wide receiver heavy here and mix in a quarterback at some point. I'm actually hoping Michael Floyd with Arizona falls to me in the next few picks here. So I know you're picking before me, but
Michael Floyd.
Yeah, Floyd is a guy that, although I love Larry Fitzgerald, I think Floyd's going to get a ton of play as well, and I think his touchdowns are going to go way up this year.
Caitlin, what's your strategy on this pick coming up here?
I don't know. So I have been thinking a lot about Terrence Williams. I actually think he could be interesting, but I know he's not particularly high. I just wonder, if this could be a breakout year for him.
So let's see what she's got. She's sitting at Phillip Rivers at quarterback, Monte Ball, Shane Vereen, Antonio Brown, and Jimmy Graham. She's coming up in just a pick. A lot of decent wide receivers out there that can help you out.
I think I'll probably. Oh, geez. I don't. This is tough for me. It's debating on whether or not to take a risk on another wide receiver, which is, I don't know. I guess I'm going to have to decide pretty soon.
Steve, real quick, what did you think of Nick Foles going with the 59th pick?
I mean, he's all depending on the person drafting. People have him as a 15th ranked quarterback. People have him as the 5th ranked quarterback. And that CBS scene, which we didn't mention that we went to on the weekend, which was a great time. Got to meet Dave Richard and Jamie Eisenberg. Dave Richard himself is huge on Nick Foles. So, again, that comes down to the person picking.
Right.
And if you see Foles as that breakout guy, he had a great year last year, very few interceptions. I think the interceptions are going to go up, but I think the touchdowns are going to be kind of on that pace.
I mean, I think at this point, Dave Larkin started his draft going I think it was Doug Martin, and then he had Arian Foster, Pierre Garçon, Vincent Jackson, Steven Jackson. He took very early. We saw the 12-team mock draft that the CBS guys did, Jamie Eisenberg and Dave Richard, last Saturday, and Steven Jackson went in the 14th round. So that's a little fascinating. But taking guys like Steven Jackson and Nick Foles, Dave is definitely taking a chance on those two guys. But I think that if he can hit on them, his team's going to round up pretty good. For me, a little too early.
So we talked a little bit earlier about Ray Rice. I'd just be curious your thoughts. Do you guys think, after being out for 2 games, he's actually going to have a good year? Or?
I think he's going to get a majority of the carries.
Yeah,
I do
as well.
Yeah, and I think I like him a little bit later in the draft than where he was taken, but I do think he's going to get a majority of the carries here. And just going through my mind frame here. In the 6th round, I think it was late 6, mid to late 6, I ended up taking Golden Tate as my wide receiver too. Basically, as predicted, on the turn, Michael Floyd didn't fall to me. Somebody took him. So that is the downfall of doing a live show like this. Michael Floyd did not fall to me, so I ended up taking Golden Tate. And he's a guy that's going to see one-on-one coverage. He didn't flourish too well in Seattle, and I think that was because he didn't have a number one. He's a guy that needs a number 1 wide receiver to take that double coverage. I think Golden Tate may not be a wide receiver 2 in a 12-team league. I think he's a low-end wide receiver 2, high-end flex, but I'll try to make it up with maybe a sleeper pick later on in the draft.
Caitlin, who'd you go with in the 6th?
I ended up going with T.Y. Hilton. Totally surprised myself and everyone else. But I don't know. I think he could I think he's going to get a lot of targets this year, so we'll see what happens.
And the thing sorry, Steve. The thing about where you're drafting is you can wait for guys to fall to you depending on the round you're in. But if you really like a guy like T.Y. Hilton, I personally think that Reggie Wayne is going to be a guy that has a great bounce-back year, me personally. But I also do feel like if you like T.Y. Hilton that much, like me with Bishop Sankey, if you like him that much, I don't mind you. I definitely don't mind that pick.
Yeah. So let's see, where are we at? So in the last few players that have gotten picked, so were Pierre Thomas, Marquise Colston, Darren Sproles, interesting, and Cam Newton. What do you guys think of Sproles?
I think that's far too early. Yeah, I think that there were other running backs on the board you can take that I like over Sproles. Joique Bell.
Pierre Thomas was there when Sproles was picked.
Yeah, Maurice Jones-Drew I even like. I just don't think, unless you need an injury for that to work out for you. So I think that if there's an injury, sure. But I don't really think that
I'm gonna let the draft fall to me again. Joique Bell didn't think he would come back to me at all. I'm going to add him in with Lacy Bernard, Rashard Jennings, and now Joique Bell to give me 4, I think, pretty decent running backs.
What do you guys think of Moreno?
Very interesting, actually. We've always kind of talked about this Lamar Miller, Noshawn Moreno. I think his stats last season were helped by Peyton Manning and the Denver offense. And I don't know exactly what kind of stats he can put up in Miami. They are splitting carries right now. And they are on my no bueno list for friends of the podcast that have been listening. I'm just kind of staying away because I don't want to gamble on one and miss completely in a round like the 7th round where you can find, valuable guys. Nick?
A little fascinating to me, just to touch on it real quick. Wes Welker, great pick by Jesse, fell to the 7th round, late 7th round. A little interesting, Danny Woodhead went here. Colin Kaepernick, I guess, it's an all right pick. Sammy Watkins, slightly early for me, but, like I said, if you like him, you like him. I'm going to go with one more running back to round out my running back core. I'm going to go with Lamar Miller. I'm a big Lamar Miller guy, so I got Sankey and Miller on my bench. The past few drafts, I think Dave was looking for Miller there. I think the past few drafts I've been going very running back heavy, which is very weird for me. So my team, Marshawn Lynch, Andre Ellington, A.J. Green, Golden Tate, Toby Gerhart, and then on my bench, Bishop Sankey and Lamar Miller. And I think I'm pretty much done with running back for the draft. I'll probably
you're not scared of those guys losing carries at all to anybody else on the team?
The way I see it, between Ellington or between Gerhart, Sankey, I think Ellington's a stud.
I'm talking mainly Sankey and Lamar Miller here.
Even Sankey, Lamar Miller, and I'll include Gerhart there.
I think Gerhart's a complete stud.
A lot of people are down on him, but between those two guys, I think I'm going to hit on one of them. I think one of them is going to hit. So for me, I thought those are Lamar Miller falling to the mid 7th for me, about where he's going to go. I think in 12-team leagues, about where he's going to go, because I think that you're going to have somebody that believes in the Miami running game. The Noshawn Moreno game to me 4th preseason game. He's against backups, and that's really what I attribute it to. So we're going to round out the 7th round here, and we're going to start with the 8th round. Just to round it out real quick, we will go with we're going to do a quick recap on the 7th round. Basically, so Colston, Pierre Thomas, Sammy Watkins, Colin Kaepernick, Joik Bell, Danny Woodhead, Wes Welker. I took Lamar Miller. Jordan Reed, I thought is a pretty good pick. Maurice Jones-Drew, Riley Cooper. So Reggie Wayne and Jason Witten just went. RG3, Dennis Pitta. So now you're seeing guys come off the board a little bit quicker.
That's the highest I've ever seen Jordan Reed picked in a fantasy draft this year.
I don't mind it.
That was me.
But he's going undrafted in some leagues, which is crazy to me.
Yeah. And maybe it's even crazy that Steven Jackson's going as late as he is, but I do think there are more.
Bold, yeah.
There are more detractors than anything else for Steven Jackson. The guy's going to get hurt, and maybe you look towards a guy like Devonta Freeman. Kay Swizzle is on the clock. She has 3 seconds left, 2 seconds left, and she was able to take Kendall Wright, who I actually love. You tried to take Terrence Williams.
I was trying to get Terrence Williams, but I didn't get my. But
yeah,
okay,
you know
well,
what?
That's good. What do you think between those two? That's interesting.
I like Kendall Wright more than Terrence Williams, and that's weird for me because of the quarterback situation.
Yeah.
But I think Kendall Wright's a 100
You were down
catch
on
guy.
Kendall Wright at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I was, and I was really
What's changed
upset.
your mind?
Well, just the idea that he's going to be with Justin Hunter. If they can get that offense on track, I think they're going to be a team that, offensively can move the ball.
Well, he could be someone that's targeted, right.
And the other thing is they're in a division with the Colts. They play twice a year. Who knows how good the Texans' defense is going to be? They have Clowney and Watt, but with injuries, who knows what's going to happen with that team.
Right.
Just real quick, in the 8th round, really happy that nobody took quarterback here. Matt Ryan, Matty Ice, he's my quarterback, so pretty slow start for me, but I ended up getting it all set up with a couple of good picks here. Matt Ryan in the 8th. Steve, is that about where you think he's going to go?
Yeah, Matt Ryan's really tough because I think he could have a top 5 fantasy football season just with his weapons that he has.
Right.
I mean, you throw in Julio Jones and Roddy White out there. I just think that's great. But, he's kind of falling. The quarterbacks in general are falling. Yeah. And
Julio's got to stay healthy. And I'll say this. We're about to enter the 9th round, Steve. You still have Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Tony Romo, Cutler, Ben Roethlisberger are still alive. So those
I hear
guys
a lot of high-fiving
followed.
back there like someone just got Kelvin Benjamin.
It's not annoying at all.
Hey, I like hearing from the war room back here. And you're looking at a guy like me. I'm really waiting on a quarterback this year, as I don't even have a quarterback yet, and I'm entering the 9th round.
Yeah.
But you just threw that depth out there, and I have no problem waiting on a quarterback here.
Right. And you know what? I want to go over Chris Haddad's team with Team Mass Nightly. He's here live drafting with us as well. Chris started out his draft Jamal Charles, Reggie Bush, Larry Fitzgerald. Julian Edelman is his wide receiver, too. Jordan Cameron, Roddy White, and then Sammy Watkins and McFadden on his bench. And he just took the Broncos DST. 9th round for the Broncos. Your thoughts? Caitlin?
That's probably a little early for me.
Yeah, you know what?
But, I haven't been taking my Ds until 10th round or later, but
yeah,
they'll be interesting, especially with DeMarcus Ware.
Yeah, they're a starting defense, or they're going to be one of the stud defenses. I wrote earlier in the year about Seattle.
Yep.
They scored more fantasy points than Adrian Peterson last year, so I think that Seattle is a team. If you pick a stud defense, if you pick them early like that, 9th, 10th round, I don't like it in the 9th. I like it in the 10th. 10th or later for a stud defense that's going to start for you every week. You won't have to worry about playing defense by committee.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I'm debating. Well, I'm not even going to tell you. Never mind, because you're before me.
That's a whole point of the draft, but fair enough. We're not doing this
very
alone.
Secretive.
There's a TV
well,
situation.
I'd be curious what you think about Mark Ingram. So I'm considering him, and I've just been reading a little bit about him in New Orleans and whether or not that could actually be a good pick.
Mark Ingram. I'm not a big Mark Ingram guy, Steve. What do you think? And I'm not a huge Mark Ingram guy myself.
Yeah, I'm not really. I hate that entire running back by committee right now. Again, it's kind of like the Sankey and Lamar Miller situation, except this one's tougher because you're gambling between 3 running backs that are supposed to get a bunch of touches. So I'm kind of staying away from those. If Ingram falls to me in the 11th or 12th round, sure, I'll throw him on there just for depth and hope something happens. But I had the chance to get Ingram right there. I actually took a flyer on Justin Hunter. I paired him with another flyer, Terrence Williams, my past 2 picks. Kind of forgot that I had Des Bryant, so now I have 2
I'm going to take
Cowboy
a chance
wide
on
receivers
it.
here.
Let's see what happens.
Now I took Fred Jackson. I said I was done with running backs, but
That's a great value.
If Spiller gets hurt, he's going to be the starter. So the wide receivers on the board: Anquan Bolden, DeAndre Hopkins, Steve Smith, Dwayne Bowe, Akeem Nicks, Ruben Randall. Not a big fan of any of these guys, even for my bench spots. And I just felt like I was getting, if anything, I can trade one of these running backs and hopefully pick up some value for it later on. You never, I never liked drafting to trade. But in this situation, Fred Jackson fell to me. So,
but you're also adding depth on your own team.
Right.
Like you're not initially looking for a trade. You're just, hey, this guy's still there.
Right.
Why isn't he picked? I want him on my bench.
Yeah, and in this next turnaround here, I have 5 picks until the turnaround. I'm going to be going tight end. Some guys like Jordan Reed went off the board, but I do like Kyle Rudolph, Martellus Bennett. I'm not a big Delaney Walker guy yet, but Zach Ertz is a guy I'll probably be targeting here if he falls. So, and even, we didn't cover it that much, but Timothy Wright, in New England now, he has Tom Brady passing him the ball, and I think that you're not drafting him in a 12-team league, but you'll pick him up for a bye week once you see what he can do. I watched film on him earlier this week, guys, and he is impressive. He can catch in traffic. He can do all the things that you need him to do as a move tight end in that offense. So, Steve, your pick is coming up eventually. You got about 5 or 6 picks here. What is your theory going in here for bench spots?
I got 2 open spots in my starting roster right now for skill position wise. I got quarterback still open, and I have tight end still open. 2 positions that this is the position I want to be in with these kind of players. We mentioned the quarterbacks. Russell Wilson's still out there. Tom Brady, Tony Romo, Jay Cutler.
Yep.
All guys that I have no problem sitting there.
So you're going to be You're pretty much going to be looking for a quarterback here.
Possibly.
Yeah. So all the tight ends I wanted pretty much fell to me. So what I'm going to do here, Jesse doesn't have a tight end. Looks like SJ has one. So, yeah, there's some tight ends that I should take a tight end, so that's what I'm going to do here. I got 10 seconds left. Zach Ertz or Kyle Rudolph, Steve?
North Turner offense. Let's go Rudolph.
Yeah, I'm going to go Zach Ertz.
Perfect. That worked out exactly how you want because maybe Rudolph falls to me here, and
right.
now I get to take him.
Yeah, I'm just the idea that Zach Ertz is playing in a high-tempo offense. Not a big Nick Foles believer, so it was a little weird I took Ertz. But I need, by drafting in the first round, a guy that really shouldn't go in the first round right now. I think that I needed to get some high upside guys to maybe make up for that point scoring. So Zach Ertz in the 10th round, I think, is probably about where we go. I'd probably say I reached on him a little bit, but at this point in the 11th round, most of the defenses are gone. The Bengals were taken, Seattle, New England, Denver we touched on. So there's a few defenses left that I like. I know Steve probably in the 11th round between me and you. Caitlin is going to go Rams defense. I know he's very high on the Rams D, so
right.
We'll see what he does with that. But Steve, why don't you talk about the guy you just took?
I just took Tony Romo.
10th round for Tony Romo.
And
great value.
It's very
that
hard
is good
between him or
value.
Tom Brady because I think Tom Brady's going to have a great year.
What distinguished that choice?
I have Des Bryant, and I wanted to match up my top wide receiver with the quarterback. Kind of interesting. And look, Tom Brady went right behind me, so I don't think I would have gotten one of those quarterbacks would have been gone.
Yeah.
I wanted to make my choice on that pick, and that's why I took Romo.
And so now you're seeing guys like Chris Ivory, DeAndre Hopkins, and Brandon Cooks go. And this is where you're really getting into maybe, it's the 12th, coming up on the 12th round. We just started the 11th. Maybe you take like a waiver on a guy here, and maybe take a shot. So I'm going to be looking for wide receivers at some point to take, waivers, take a chance on a guy that has a lot of upside that can score me a lot of points on a bye week or something of that sort. Going over the last few picks real quick, Mark Ingram went, I think, to you.
To me.
You took Mark Ingram, even though I told you not to.
I took a rest.
Right. Carlos Hyde, Kyrie Robinson, Tavon Austin, the Bengals D, D'Angelo Williams, Anquan Bolden, Steve Smith, who I didn't expect to even get drafted. Steve Smith went.
Me.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I
Zach
think it'll
Ertz.
be interesting.
No, that's fine. Kyle Rudolph went right after Zach Ertz, Steve, so people are listening. Steven Gostkowski, Tony Romo, Dwayne Bowe, who, again, another guy I didn't see going drafted, but my cousin-in-law, Brandon, took him. Good bench guy if you can hit on him. Tom Brady, Brandon Cooks, and we went through those. 49ers defense just went. Marquise Lee, Devonta Freeman, and the Rams defense. So, Steve, you weren't able to hit on the Rams defense. I have 2 picks. I have SJ.
I was able to hit on the Rams defense.
Oh, that was you?
That was
you?
you.
Okay, yeah. So sorry about that. That was a short turnaround. SJ just took Hakeem Nicks, a guy I don't like at all this year.
He's buying him for the offense, I would say.
Yeah, and you know what? He's taking him. He's going to throw him on his bench and maybe take a chance on him. But Jesse just went with the Panthers D. That's great. I was very high on the Cardinals defense, so they fell to me. They have a couple of injuries, so I'm going to go with the Cardinals D here and just really lock up hopefully what can be a stud defense. They've had a couple of injuries to the linebacker.
Are you afraid with the Dockett injury?
Yeah.
And is it Dansby that's out for the entire?
Yeah, I think Dansby. Yeah. Well, they just signed Tommy Kelly, so we'll see what he can do in the middle of that line there. And I think, they still have Patrick Peterson, who's a stud cornerback.
And Ryan Matthew coming back.
Yeah, and you know what? They play against in a division that don't have very prolific offenses. The 49ers aren't a super prolific offense. The Rams aren't going to throw the ball down your throat. So
especially with the Sam Bradford injury.
Right.
Which is why I was actually a little hesitant to take the Rams defense. Lately, this is the first league I've actually got them in. Prior to all my drafts, I was targeting them.
Yeah.
But with Sam Bradford out, I just don't see that as an offense that's gonna, shine and get big leads. Like I actually think that hurts the Rams defense. But I still love, the Robert Quinn and Chris Long getting to the quarterback.
Yeah.
I like sacks. I like the interceptions. I think that's going to lead to touchdowns.
And just to go over Caitlin's team real quick. Phillip Rivers, Monty Ball, Shane Vereen, Antonio Brown, T.Y. Hilton, Jimmy Graham. Jordan Reed's in her flex right now. The 2 tight end flex, I actually am a believer in it. I think that if you have 2 prolific tight ends, and not even prolific, I think that's a strong word. If you have 2 tight ends that can score a lot of points, that are in high-octane, high-profile offenses, I think that's a good way to go. She went with the Chiefs defense, who was actually going to be my pick if it wasn't the Cardinals, and I committed to the Cardinals, but I did see the Chiefs on the board. Kind of wish I took the Chiefs. But Kendall Wright, Mark Ingram, and Steve Smith. Steve Smith, probably a guy you'll end up releasing, or a guy that, you plug in as a bye week. So I think that a solid team for where you're picking for sure. We got 2 picks until K-Swizzle is up. That would be you. Right now, the other co-host of the Shane and Mike show, his name is Mark Brothers. To go through his team, his pick is up next. He's actually picking as we speak. Aaron Rodgers, high upside guy possibly, in Trent Richardson. He went Maurice Jones-Drew, so he waited a long time here on running back. Demaryius Thomas and Randall Cobb, though, to get those 2 guys if Cobb can stay healthy. Dennis Pitta, his flex is Keenan Allen, the Seahawks defense, and then Carlos Hyde, Anquan Bolden, Trey Mason, and Marcus Wheaton. What do you think about Mark's draft? He waited on running back, and that's how his team ended up, Steve.
I mean, you said his 2 wide receivers, Demaryius Thomas, Randall Cobb, and Keenan Allen at flex. Keenan Allen at flex is just phenomenal to me.
Yeah, but he is suffering, on running back. He had to take a chance on a guy on running. He had to take a chance taking a hit on a guy like Trent Richardson. If he doesn't pan out and then Maurice Jones-Drew, you're kind of in trouble. Looking at the wide receivers on the board here with 16 seconds left in my pick in the 12th round, Jarrett Boykin, James Jones, Stevie Johnson, Andrew Hawkins, Brandon LaFell, Dexter McCluster, Kenny Stills. I'm going to go down the board a little bit and take possibly, I'm going to take a chance. This is what we do. So going to take a Oh, I'm on auto pick.
Russell Wilson.
I took Russell Wilson by accident. Okay, awful pick. But
as he's explaining his entire draft process
Yeah.
to us, he just didn't make the pick.
This is next time. Just give me a quick, because I was reading the names. Just give me a quick, like 5 seconds.
Hey, this is a competitive league.
No, I know. And Russell Wilson is my backup. This is an awful setup. But 30 seconds per pick, and that's what happens. I'll try to look for a wide receiver on the turn. Jay Cutler just went ahead or behind Russell Wilson. And right now, team Patriots is up. We'll go through SJ's team one more time. Peyton Manning, Frank Gore, Ray Rice, Percy Harvin, Mike Wallace. With Ray Rice, he's going to have to take a couple of running backs here on his bench to maybe supplant Ray Rice while he's out those 2 weeks. He does have Chris Johnson in his flex. Hopefully he's going to get the lion's share of the carries there in New York. Julius Thomas, Mike Wallace. The Patriots defense, Steven Gostkowski, naturally a huge Pats guy. Danny Woodhead, Hakeem Nicks, and then Bernard Pierce. Great pick, Bernard Pierce there. Bernard Pierce is going to start the first 2 games for the Ravens this year, so he can plug Bernard Pierce if he has to right in where Ray Rice is in the RB2 slot.
Do you think he'll get enough carries beyond the second game of the year?
It may turn in the third game. They're not going to if Bernard Pierce plays well, they're not going to immediately take him off the field.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that if
they have a tough opening
Right. They have the
Opening
Steelers. Yeah, they open against the Steelers, and then I think Cincinnati.
Cincinnati start, and then they roll into Pittsburgh. So, I mean, and Cincinnati's getting Geno Atkins back, which is basically run away from him kind of mentality. So, if Pierce is going to be successful, he's going to have to earn those numbers those first 2 weeks.
And my team once more, Matt Ryan, Marshawn Lynch, Andre Ellington, A.J. Green, Golden Tate, Zach Ertz, Toby Gerhardt, Cardinals defense, Bishop Sankey, Lamar Miller, Fred Jackson, and Russell Wilson. I love my bench pretty much more than my starters right now, aside from Russell Wilson. But I think that, taking two quarterbacks, Steve, and Caitlin really, taking two quarterbacks in a 12-team league, Steve, are you a believer in that? Or
I've been actually taking, my 2 drafts I've had this week, I've gone quarterback back-to-back rounds both times. And I have now Tony Romo in every one of my leagues. In the past 2 drafts, I've gone Russell Wilson and Colin Kaepernick. Learned that from Jamie Eisenberg this past weekend. Take 2. I'm handcuffing myself with 2 good quarterbacks.
Yep.
But, hey, we'll see what happens. I think Romo's a great quarterback, and I think Russell Wilson's also a great quarterback as well.
What do you guys think of Roy Halou?
I think he's going to take carries away from Alfred Morris, and he's going to be catching the ball. Alfred Morris isn't a catch guy, so I wasn't a huge Alfred Morris guy when he got drafted right there. But I think that, given situations, if they're down by a lot, I think that you're going to see more Halou than Alfred Morris. But as long as the Redskins are in the game, you may see more of Morris for sure. One pick away, we'll go over Jesse DJ Doubletake's team. He's with Stack and Smash. Andrew Luck is his starting quarterback. DeMarco Murray, Zach Stacy, Calvin Johnson, Emmanuel Sanders, Kyle Rudolph, Ryan Matthews, the Panthers D, Wes Welker, Noshawn Moreno, Greg Jennings, and Jay Cutler. So he went with a backup quarterback as well. Great start, in terms of his starters. I think that Ryan Matthews is a whole. I'd rather have Toby Gerhardt myself rather than wait a couple more rounds and take Ryan Matthews. I'm going to take a guy right now. I'm on the clock. I'm not going to mess it up. I like wide receivers, and I'm going to take a chance on a guy that I've been talking up pretty well here, Kenny Stills in New Orleans. We've touched on him a little bit. Drew Brees are going to be passing a lot. A lot of Brandon Cooks believers. Cooks, the rookie. Steve, the track record of rookie wide receivers, as we know, isn't that good. So what is your take on a guy like Brandon Cooks to a guy like Kenny Stills?
I think Cook's talent is a lot better than what Kenny Stills offers. With that being said, I would take Cooks over Kenny Stills. It's just Drew Brees, and all the reports out of the Saints camp is that this guy is just tearing it up right now. A lot of people are really high on him. Kenny Stills, he's kind of your boomer bust guy. He's going to get a lot of downfield shots, and with that offense, he can fill that Lance Moore role, who had over 1,000 yards a couple years ago for the Saints. So, pick your guy, either one.
I think. I'd like to hear your thoughts on Zach Stacy. So I think that'll be interesting. With everything that's happened in St. Louis, is he someone that you think is going to end up carrying a team? Or
yeah, between Benny Cunningham and Trey Mason, there's been talk that Cunningham's going to take carries away from him. Trey Mason will, and then you're hearing a counter report that that's not the case, and really it's going to be the Zach Stacy show. So Steve. To me, Zach Stacy's a stud, and he's a guy I like in the second round. If you can get him in the third, I like it even more.
Yep.
He's falling in a lot of drafts.
Is he?
To the late second, early third round.
Which is interesting.
And if you're there in the third round and you can get yourself a Zach Stacy, why not? I think people are scared of the division they play in, and they should be. But that's 6 games that you're playing that he could be a flex option.
Right.
Other than that, you're going to be putting him as your RB, if not 1, your RB2. And if he's your RB2, I just think you have a great system going so far.
Now, Caitlin is up next. She's not going to go where I'm going, so I don't have a problem stealing, or I don't have a problem telling everybody my pick. She went with a kicker around early. What was your process on that?
I don't know. I don't.
Why'd you take him? No idea.
I have no idea, to be honest with you. He was there.
Yeah, and you know what? I was going to take Hauschka, but he was just taken from under me.
Not in my Hauschka. Best pick of the draft, Steven Hauschka.
In the 14th round, yeah. So I'm going to take a chance on a guy here, Kenny Britt. Hopefully he hits. And really, so if he doesn't hit, I still have the wide receiver. I think I have, good enough wide receiver depth here with, Kenny Stills and then the 2 wide receivers I have in Golden Tate and A.J. Green. Steve, A.J. Green and Golden Tate, I'm not taking out of my lineup. So to me, having a couple of random guys, and then I'll probably drop Russell Wilson after the draft and pick up another high upside guy to fill my wide receiver depth. But rounding out the draft here, thankfully we were able to get it all in.
Very exciting.
So rounding out the draft here, Eric Ebron just went. Pico, was that you?
No, I took Mike Williams from Buffalo.
Okay. Yeah, Mike Williams. Eric Ebron went, a high upside guy. Brandon, my cousin-in-law, ended up taking him. So not a bad pick, in my opinion. A guy that if he doesn't perform the first few weeks, which I think he will, but if he doesn't, look, Detroit, you're going to have a lot of options for Matt Stafford to throw the ball. So I really like pretty much every guy in that offense. Joique Bell. The guy I like the least in the Lions offense is probably Reggie Bush.
Yeah.
And now we're just going to round it out here with kickers. The draft, Steve, overall, why don't you tell everyone your team that you ended up with?
I'm about to finish up right now. I'm going to take a kicker. So my I'm just go straight down the list. I got Romo, Eddie Lacy, Giovanni Bernard, Dez Bryant, Victor Cruz. I took Martellus Bennett in the 13th round, which is what I was looking for, tight end late. Michael Crabtree, Rams defense. I just got Dan Bailey as a kicker. And then my bench is Rashard Jennings, Joique Bell, Terrence Williams, Justin Hunter, Terrence West, and Mike Williams. I've taken a lot of flyers on my bench.
And that's sort of the point.
If one hits, that's great.
That's the idea. In theory, one will hit. You're not gonna go through your bench and have every guy be a dud. So that was my thinking with my bench guys with Bishop Sankey and Lamar Miller. But real quick, Matt Ryan, Marshawn Lynch, Andre Ellington, stud A.J. Green, Golden Tate, Zach Ertz, Toby Gerhardt is my flex. Again, a guy as long as he performs, I'll never take out of that flex spot. Cardinals defense, Robbie Gould, Bishop Sankey, Lamar Miller, Fred Jackson, Russell Wilson, mistakenly Kenny Stills, Kenny Britt. And if Britt ends up hitting, the quarter, Sam Bradford's out for the year, and 3 weeks, 4 weeks in, I'll just drop him if I don't like him, and I'll be dropping, like I said, Russell Wilson shortly. But to me, I my rankings were messed up, and if I had just done that quick hit the rankings button, it would have very amateur move, and then missing another pick with Russell Wilson. But I think I ended up leveling out my draft pretty well for taking a guy, a running back in Lynch that I didn't like, and then just taking Ellington fell to me. Huge Bishop Sankey guy, so I think my running back depth is probably one of if not the best in the league, just based on the fact I went running back so quick.
Not even close. You're not even close to the top of running back depth.
And do you want to explain why you don't?
Because you have all your depth. To me, you just read off there people who aren't guaranteed carries after your top three.
I mean, you said even a few weeks ago that you thought Lamar Miller was going to be a guy that
he was until Moreno came back and was splitting carries, which has been the report all week. So to me, the Lamar Miller pick, the Bishop Sankey pick, Fred Jackson, that entire situation in Buffalo to me is crazy. I like Jackson more than Spiller, especially the round he's going in. But if Spiller has that phenomenal year, Fred Jackson might be back to the goal line carries.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it sounds like you're giving out a lot of ifs, and to me, what I'm,
But you're also going off a lot of ifs as well.
I'm going off a lot of definites.
No, you're not going off a lot of definites.
Sean Green is old. They're not going to be giving Sean Green the ball. If anything,
you said if.
Will he steal? They won't be giving him the ball. If he steals a couple of goal line touchdowns, I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. Bishop Sankey's a guy that can do it all. So he's going to be out on the field. That's why I took him. I'm obviously high on him. Lamar Miller's a guy I've been on him all season long. So, No Sean Moreno came into camp out of shape. He came into camp with a hurt knee. No Sean Moreno doing it against fourth stringers is like me going out in a flag football game and doing it against preschoolers. That's how I look at it. So they gave No Sean Moreno the work, but that's because they needed to because he's been out the whole preseason. So to me, in terms of running back depth after taking a guy like Lynch that I don't like, I think in terms of that situation, taking a guy I didn't like who's not going in the first round right now, I think I rebounded very well in terms of my running back depth. Then C.J. Spiller goes down, Fred Jackson will be the guy, and if Fred Jackson goes down, then I release him and I pick up another guy. But in theory, between Marshawn Lynch, Andre Ellington, and Toby Gerhardt, those guys stay healthy. I won't have to, other than a bye week, I won't have to replace those guys at all. Caitlin, you want to read your team?
I would love to. I'm not that excited about it. So I have Phillip Rivers, Monty Ball, Shane Vereen, Antonio Brown, T.Y. Hilton, Jimmy Graham, which was my best pick by far. My flex spot, I have Jordan Reed, the Chiefs D, Phil Dawson as my kicker, and then my bench is Kendall Wright, Mark Ingram, Steve Smith, Sean Green, Roy Halou, and Brandon LaFell. I hate my bench.
You know, Brandon LaFell was a guy I was going to take, but unfortunately, he, I guess I was more on the upside of a guy like Kenny Stills. But Brandon LaFell was right there for me.
I like Brandon LaFell because I think, to be really basic, I mean, he's a receiver that has some height on the Patriots, and I think he could end up getting some, deep in that end zone catches. You never know. He could
be their deep threat guy, but if you also think about it, he'll be getting a lot of teams' third-ranked, fourth-ranked cornerback. And he can take advantage of that. Yeah. Brandon LaFell with the Panthers was a guy that was getting a lot of number one cornerbacks. And he's a better guy like a Golden Tate. He's a better guy that plays that secondary, third, fourth role. He's much better doing that than he is the situation of being the number one guy.
As far as LaFell goes, to me, we can have this conversation if he makes New England's roster. To me, that's up in the air right now. He is on that verge of the fourth or fifth wide receiver right now. You could even say fifth or sixth. They just get Dobson back. Kembrell Tompkins had a great preseason for them. And then, I think he has the advantage over Josh Boyce, who's out there. He did absolutely nothing for me when I watched the games. So we'll see if Belichick keeps him on there. Yeah. But like you said, he is tall, and he could serve as an end zone, a red zone threat for Tom Brady.
Well, let's look at our quarterback. So we have, between the three of us, we have Matt Ryan, Phillip Rivers, and Tony Romo. What do you guys think? I mean, I'm interested to see Phillip Rivers. I think he actually will get me some points. Matt Ryan is a quarterback I actually took in some of my other leagues, which I think he's going to have a big year.
Well, I mean, for at least Nick and myself, we're proving here that you can get good talent late in drafts.
Yep.
What round did you take Phillip Rivers in?
Phillip Rivers pretty.
I remember looking back and seeing that you had Rivers in like fifth or sixth round.
Or sixth, I can't quite remember.
To be, LeGarrette blunt about this, you probably could have gotten him maybe a little bit later.
Probably a little bit later, yeah.
But Phillip Rivers he had a great year last year.
Yeah.
And he has weapons. They have a lot of running backs that they throw the ball to. Yeah. Keenan Allen emerged last year as a great option, and they have those two good tight ends in Green and Gates.
Yep.
Malcolm Floyd is back. Keenan Allen was a stud last year. And if Ryan Matthews can stay healthy and do what Ryan Matthews did last year, Phillip Rivers is going to be one of the higher echelon quarterbacks. I agree it is early to take him. Naturally, I think, Matt Ryan, even in a 12-team league in the 8th round, is
great value.
It's about where he's going to go, though. I think, in my opinion, you got the best pick of the draft. Tony Romo in the 11th, was it? To me, Tony Romo, that team's going to be slinging. DeMarco Murray can catch balls out of the backfield, too, their running back. So that he's going to be throwing the ball. Just know, with the 300 yards, there'll be 2 interceptions. Of
course.
So
that's the best thing about having Romo.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, what's going to happen this week?
At least you know what you're going to get with him. So for me, just off the top of my head, I mentioned it earlier, I think you got the pick of the draft with Tony Romo that late. I didn't see him falling that late, especially with Matt Ryan on the board in the 8th. I would rather probably Tony Romo in the 11th than Matt Ryan in the 8th. The only thing is Ryan doesn't throw the interceptions. If Julio goes down, Matt Ryan's in trouble.
No. Also, going off that, I mean, when I picked Romo, Tom Brady was there. Like your backup, Russell Wilson was there. This is really proving to me that quarterbacks can wait.
Depending on the draft you're in.
Like QBs, you could have a string of QBs go from 5 to 6. Everybody's going, oh, here they go. They're all going.
Right.
Boom, boom, boom. And you're taking, Romo in the 5th round, like we saw in a mock draft that we did. That might happen. But I think in most drafts, this is what's going to happen.
Though rare, I helped out a friend with a draft. He's overseas right now. I helped him out with a draft. He's in Cuba. He's doing a live draft, a 10-team draft. Tom Brady went in the 2nd round.
I had a Tom Brady go on a draft last night in the 2nd round.
So there are those guys who are going to reach for the guys that they love instead of the idea of waiting, because there's no way Tom Brady was going to go, any earlier than that. So I think that, they don't want to wait, and that's fine. And you can have a guy like that in a lot of drafts. Not many. If you're in a competitive league, most of the guys will know what they're drafting. And at the end of the day, you got to know who you're drafting with. And one thing I didn't do that I wanted to do was basically, and with only 30 seconds, you don't have enough time, but to play, since I'm in the 6th round, was also very tough to do with the 6th round pick. But if you're 10th, 9th, 11th, play off who the other owners have.
Yep.
So if in the 8th round, if you see 3 of those owners if you have the 9th pick, if you see those 3 owners all have tight ends, you can wait on tight end at least another full round. So basically what we're going to have you guys do is vote on what team you think was the best between the 3 of ours. We'll hashtag it with DWN Fantasy Draft, and we'll put it in about 2 or 3 tweets because you can't fit the whole team in one. But we'll see what you guys think and have you guys vote on what team.
On Instagram as well.
We'll do Instagram as well, and at DWN Fantasy Football Show. Personally, we'll go through our 3. Personally, I thought Steve had the best team in the draft, just because 1, there was no auto pick, 2 auto picks.
You were on it.
But I think that the guys you got with the depth you have, I definitely think where I like my running back depth, I think you got good wide receiver depth, and getting Romo, like I said, was a pretty good steal there. So basically, the drafts are this weekend. You guys refer back to the show. We love to hear more feedback. Follow us at DWN Fantasy Football Show. Dave, we're going to end the show soon. You can follow us, DWN Fantasy Football Show, on Instagram. I am at Nick Lesagor on Twitter.
I am at Caitlin Jean on Twitter.
And I'm at Uncle Stav over here, just twisting the stash.
Oh, God.
No, but seriously, all draft talk is great for us. I can do drafts. I can talk drafts all day. It's so interesting.
We've had a couple people ask us to grade your drafts as well, so feel free to send those
Absolutely.
to us, and we'd be happy to do that.
Tweet us. We'll grade the draft, and on our podcast next week, that we will do at some point. Steve and I are going to go over our drafts real quick in our serious leagues that we did and see which team we like more. I'm very intrigued. If you don't like the way I did this draft, you won't like the way I did the other one. But so that's it for episode 19, I think it is. Again, Nick Lesagor. Also, email the show, fantasyfootball@dirtywaternews.com. You guys send us questions, rate my team, rate my trade, and we will cover those here on the video show and on the podcast as well.
Real quick, thank you, Yankee Clipper, for sponsoring this draft. Again,
$5 off coupon.
$5 off haircut.
Yeah,
I got this great hat, and my hair is looking phenomenal tonight.
Great.
Yeah, but
Jeff or Eric down at Yankee Clipper, give them a call.
Yeah, and if you need to, they will shave your mustache as well. That's something that Steve did not want.
They actually trimmed this up last time I was there, and it was just a baby stash at the time, and now it is just full-blown, mature.
That thing is out of control.
Out of control.
You look like
it's going to start, growing towards me.
Don't photobomb me wrong.
I'm not getting those freakish looks anymore on the tee when I'm going to work.
You look like a young Monopoly man.
Yes.
Minus the monocle.
I'll take it.
Is it the monocle situation?
Yes.
All right, that's it for
All right,
episode
thanks,
19, guys.
everyone.
We are out of here as Dave fumbles with the camera. If you'd like to end the show first, that'd be good. But it's completely up to you.
Keep the camera on this, baby.
Yeah,
right
that's
here.
right. Just all over the stash. Episode 19, that is it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Everyone.
And again, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and email the show.